Imagine you can capture the energy of these falling balls and create electricity. Well, I built this entire machine complete with a conveyor lift, over-engineered funnels, and a custom paddle wheel energy harvester, all to see if I could charge my phone with falling marbles. Answering this question required almost 2 months of engineering with some unexpected problems and some interesting solutions. And while this will probably be the least efficient energy storage system ever invented, it will definitely be the most fun. Let's start with the basics. Energy from renewable sources like solar and wind is generated when the resources are available. More often than not, this doesn't line up with when the energy is most needed. So you could let that unused energy go to waste, or better yet, find a way to store it. And you might be wondering, why not just use a battery to store the energy? Batteries work, but it would be really hard to scale that to a level that would be able to handle the needs of the power grid. Also, probably better to save our lithium resources for things that need to be portable, like cars and electronics. There's already a lot of non-battery energy storage systems in the works, like flywheel systems, molten salt systems. There's even a big crane that lifts and lowers weights to store energy. But by far the most popular systems in use right now are called pumped hydro systems. Basically, excess power is used to pump water to the top of a reservoir, storing the generated electrical energy in the form of gravitational potential energy. When there's demand on the grid, the water can later be released back down to the bottom through a turbine, converting it back into electricity. So really, I'm just going to be building a pumped hydro system, but instead of using water, I'm going to be using balls. Lots of them. And I'm going to call this thing a spheroelectric battery. Pretty cool. I know. But how much power can you get from a single marble? Well, the steel ball weighs 8 grams. The higher you hold it, the more energy it potentially has that can be converted into electricity. This potential energy can be determined by the equation mgh, where m is the mass of the ball, 8 grams, or 0.008 kilograms. G is the acceleration due to gravity, which is 9.81 meters per second squared, and h is the height from which the ball can drop. So at 1 meter of drop, this ball has a potential energy of a whopping 0.0784 joules. For context, to charge a phone, we need a minimum of 5 watts, which is 5 joules per second. So in a perfect world, we would need to drop about 64 marbles per second from 1 meter to get anywhere close to charging a phone. 64 marbles per second sounds pretty challenging, but realistically, I learn best by doing. So I'm gonna disregard all of this math, and I'm just gonna start making stuff. And I'm probably gonna regret it later. Sorry, future Jay. Let's do it. To get the ball rolling, I decided to begin the whole process by creating a very basic generator. Electricity is generated when a magnet passes by a wire. This is just a physical law, which was discovered back in 1831 by my boy, Mikey Faraday. The more wires it passes, the more electricity it makes, so you could coil a bunch of wire around a spool, pass a magnet by it, and generate some electricity. I could combine a bunch of these coils together to create a generator. Tom Stanton made a video about it, and it worked really well. Or I could use an already optimized set of coils, which I have in abundance here in my shop. And if you're thinking that just looks like a stepper motor, you're right, it is. All electric motors are technically generators when run in reverse. When I connect the motor to this belt and pulley to speed up the output a bit and rotate the crank, you can see that it spits out a voltage. But there is one problem here. The voltage is alternating current, which you can tell by the sine wave on the oscilloscope. To use this generator to do something useful like charge a phone, for example, I first need to rectify this problem. Come on, that was a solid electrical engineering joke, because this circuit is called a full bridge rectifier. Get it? Whatever. When I connect it to the output of the generator, you can see that the output voltage becomes a straight line, which is DC, which technically means it should be able to charge a phone. I plugged the phone into this voltage converter and connected it to the output of the rectifier, and now when I crank the handle, yes, we can actually charge a phone. So really we just need to get this crank to turn using marbles, and we're laughing. I know that I went through this serious stuff really quickly, so I recommend checking out this video sponsor, which is Brilliant. If you want to take a deeper dive into either of these two topics that I just talked about, there's this classic mechanics course, which covers the forces, energy, power, all that stuff in depth. There's also a really cool electricity and magnetism course. Or if you're looking for something a little bit more broad, there's a physics of the everyday, which covers physics of the everyday. Who would have thought? Theory makes up a lot of the problem-solving fundamentals in engineering, and there's really only one good way to learn them, and that's to sit down and do it. But Brilliant makes that really easy because they have all these interactive modules in their courses, so you're kind of learning by doing as you're going through the courses. On top of that, it breaks down each course into bite-sized pieces. If you're like me, attention span kind of runs out, so this allows you to make more of a habit of 50 minutes a day rather than having to cram and just like to kill yourself trying to learn something. Outside of the physics stuff, there's so many other courses on Brilliant. I'm most excited about the computer science and programming stuff, as well as the mind-bending math section. I think you're gonna start seeing some of that stuff in my future projects. So if you'd like to try out Brilliant for free for a month, you can check out brilliant.org/engineeasy, scan this QR code, or click the link in the description below. That'll also get you 20% off your first year if you decide to join. Thank you so much, Brilliant, for sponsoring this video and honestly just like making me smarter. And with that, let's go put some of the stuff we learned into practice and generate some electricity with balls. Getting marbles to spin the generator is so simple in theory. Attach a paddle wheel to the motor shaft, create a track to direct the balls into the paddle wheel, and now when we fill up the track and release the balls, boom, we got power. But even after increasing the ball capacity and gearing up the motor with pulleys to increase the resistance on the paddle wheel, you can see that it doesn't last very long. And this is where simple in theory becomes surprisingly challenging in reality. Because if we just tried to dump balls out of a bucket through a funnel right into the generator, sort of like this, the balls will always get stuck. Literally a problem with every single marble project. So we need a way to feed a single stream of balls into the generator. My first idea is to create a super long snake run on a flat sheet of material. Then I could stack a bunch of them to get a single stream. I made this quick prototype and yeah, you can see that it completely sucks. If you want to get a consistent roll, you need to increase the angles. If you increase the angles, the snake run length per sheet gets shorter, which means the amount of snake run stacks increases. I'm working in this cramped basement, so it feels like it might be a little bit unfeasible to try to manufacture these massive stacks with the limited resources and space that I have here. Let's find a better way. This little proof of concept may hold the key. Here are two single streams of balls. This mechanism makes it so the first stream has to empty fully before this lever drops, letting the gate drop, allowing the second stream to empty. I've refined the mechanism a bit. I've added a third stream, but there is a little problem here. You can see that it works quite well when it's filled up this much, but as you add more and more balls, the weight piles up, pushing harder on this lever, and eventually the force on the lever is high enough that the final ball doesn't get through. This means the lever can't drop, which means that the whole thing fails. One way to solve this is to apply some basic physics and make the lever longer, which reduces the force pushing down on the ball. And you can see that this actually works. Let's go. But it's not a perfect solution because each gate has to be pushed in from the previous gate. So the longer the lever, the more the gate has to be pushed in, and this becomes a pretty significant amount by even the 10th gate, reducing the number of the balls that the system can handle, thus requiring more stacks, and thus leaving us exactly where we started. I think there's a better way. Using the same general concept, I shifted the levers to inside each run. The levers normally sit in this position, pulled up by these elastics, but the weight of the marbles pushes the lever down, which blocks the tab connected to the gate, preventing it from opening. Once the first stream of marbles is released, the lever pops up, it frees the next gate, and lets the next run of marbles out. And as you can see, when the entire thing is filled up, it comfortably dumps all three streams. If I make the stream longer, pushing harder on the gate, it gets stuck. So anticlimactic. Come on. But if I add another elastic, let's go. That's sick. Okay, time to scale this thing up. But before I do, I decided I should probably think a bit more about how the balls are going to exit, because remember the whole funnel thing? Yeah, it gets stuck. So instead, I made this test piece, and as you can see, each arm branches into a vertical branch, which will be the vertical branch that goes directly into the generator. This works well at this small scale, but when there are thousands of balls running through the system, it's inevitable that it's going to jam, like this. Engineering is all about finding solutions that make all the work you did last week completely obsolete. And I realized while trying to solve this that I was over-engineering everything. I wanted to see if a more basic binary funnel will work. Here's my first attempt, which I kind of relied on my intuition to design, and I sort of stumbled onto something quite interesting. Because of the steep angles here, the balls sort of zipper into place, like the world's most perfect highway merge. This bottom angle is slightly shallower, so you can see that the balls get stuck here. But if we correct that and feed it with an entire stream of balls, will it still work? Yes, sir. What if we increase this to 8 stages? Does it still flow? Yes, it does. So it looks like all that work I did on the gate mechanism is actually completely unnecessary. Passive funnel for the win. I'm also curious if the entrance lanes are necessary, so I took them out, and you can see that the balls, just, you guessed it, jam. So lanes are in fact necessary. For the final prototype, I'm thinking that I'm gonna have 16 lanes of balls all funnel into the one, but this presents yet another problem that I hadn't previously thought about. How do we get the balls coming off the conveyor belt to consistently filter into each lane? If only there was an elegant solution for dividing a single stream of marbles into multiple streams. maybe even the Holy Grail of solutions. Thank you, Wintergatan. Quite recently, he challenged his audience to come up with the ultimate marble divider, and not only did they deliver, but they delivered the Holy Grail of marble dividers. Wintergatan explains his solution in detail, which allowed me to quickly design my own Holy Grail of marble dividers for my specific marble diameter. To fully understand why this is the Holy Grail, let's try my funnel design in reverse. It sort of works, but once a branch fills up completely, if the top ball is too high, it blocks the entrance to the next branch. On the other hand, the Holy Grail divider uses this zigzag pattern, which is spaced out to exactly the ball's diameter. This geometry makes it so that the top ball is always in this exact position, never blocking the other branch. As the whole branch moves down, the balls travel through the zigzags in this pattern until a critical position is reached, where the entire stack drops the distance of a single marble. This means that regardless of what's happening downstream, a lane will never get blocked. Wintergatan does a really good job of explaining this in his video, which is 100% worth checking out. I've linked it below. But I think now with this final puzzle piece solved, it's time to full send and build the entire machine and see if we can generate electricity. Let's do it. Okay, the build is done, so we're gonna fill it up with these tiny gravitational granules. I'm trying to avoid saying the word balls and see if we can generate some electricity. Oh, there's a lot more where that came from. Moment of truth, this thing is plugged in. So I'm gonna turn it on and see if we can even lift balls up to the top because there's a lot of weight pressing on this, but I got faith, let's go. Oh yeah, it's no problem at all. Should we go faster? There we go. Actually working. Okay. Can't believe how well that worked for the first try. So here's the second moment of truth. Can we generate any electricity? So we've got this light strip right here, plugged in through the rectifiers into the motor. When I pull this rod, the generator is gonna start. 3, 2, 1, go. Remember when I said that I was going to regret disregarding the math to just start building things? Well, that time has now arrived. My intuition, which was entirely wrong, was telling me that a single stream of balls running through the generator would be enough to at least turn on this LED strip. For reference, it requires less than 0.5 watts, which is way less than a phone. But there are two problems here. The more obvious one is you can see that the paddle wheel is turning faster than the balls are dropping. This means that the generator isn't taking advantage of the full weight of the column of balls, just the balls that are sitting on the paddle wheel at any instant. When I remove the belt entirely, the problem is amplified because there's no resistance anymore. But when I drag my finger on the pulley, the added resistance allows the full weight of the balls to transfer to the paddle wheel, optimizing the power output of the system. And swapping in this bigger pulley should have the same effect. But this doesn't solve the second, bigger problem. When I pull the tab, you can see that the generator is now moving way too slowly, and when I measure the voltage coming through the output, you can see it's quite low. This makes sense because even though it's now more optimized for the current configuration, I haven't made the generator any more powerful. The only way to do that is either increase the max height of the generator or increase the number of columns and paddle wheels. I've decided to increase the weight pushing on the paddle wheel by adding a second paddle wheel and column connected to the same shaft as the original one. Once again, simple in theory, but in practice it means I have to spend 2 full days disassembling the machine, modifying parts in CAD, printing out the new parts, and reassembling the machine, ensuring that the additional paddle wheel perfectly aligns with the original. Done. Man, engineering can be so hard sometimes. And actually this just came in the mail. This is a new logo I designed for specifically this kind of thing. It's a gear, it's got 2 cross eyes for like that perpetually tired, always overwhelmed engineer. And then you can see like the smile is like a wavy smile because like you're smiling, but this actually really, really sucks in the moment. But it's worth it because in the end, when you make something that works, it's a real smile. All that being said, this isn't even done yet because we don't know if it's gonna work. So let's put all the balls back into the machine, try to generate electricity once again. Let's do it. I added a couple other probably unnecessary improvements to the machine, like this exit ramp extension to increase the overall capacity of the machine, this wall catcher ramp thing to stop balls from falling off at the top, this belt tensioner to reduce some of the wobble of the conveyor, and most importantly, these lightning bolts so you know that this thing is dangerous. So there are 3 things that I want to know. Test number 1, can it power this LED strip? Ready? Go. Oh my God, I'm so relieved that that worked. The project is not dead yet. Test number 2, is the power coming out of the generator enough to lift marbles up? Let's go. The answer is not even a little bit, but it's interesting to note that that actually puts a lot more resistance on the generator. All right, what about a single marble? Ready? Go. So the answer is no. We can't even lift a single marble, but to be fair, it's a really big motor. I didn't think it was gonna work out anyways, and that's not the reason we're here. Phone's plugged in, connected to the machine. All right, the real moment of truth in 3, 2, 1, go. So I mean, it can charge a phone. It just can only really charge a phone for like 30 seconds before we have to recharge the battery and then charge the phone again. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. This right here could probably charge a phone 4 times fully. This whole machine right here can only charge a phone for 30 seconds. The power density in this thing right here is unbelievable. I hope you learned something. I definitely learned something along the way and obviously had a ton of fun while doing it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.